So, what happened? As always, if you guys enjoy this video, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications. It keeps you up to date with all my videos and does a lot to support my channel. Thanks guys. So commentaries have been on YouTube for as long as the site has been a thing. First it was channels like Reply Girls, yes there's a Wikipedia article on Reply Girls. Then it became channels like PM Rants, Alpha Omega Sin, and the Archfiend. Yeah, I've been around for a while. And aside from largely being a distant memory, these channels would serve as a predecessor for what became, at least for one point in time, one of the most dominant genres on YouTube. But what happened? For those of you who have been around for a few years, I'm sure you can recall a time where channels like Leafy and Grade A Under A, despite being controversial by their very nature, were at the top of YouTube. In a matter of months, Leafy became one of the most watched YouTubers, garnering hundreds of thousands of views on every video in a matter of hours, without fail. And I'm really just using Leafy as a bit of an example here, because I think that he's one of the most prominent examples. There are others and I'll talk about them and how they tie into things later in the video. Some of these channels have stuck around, and others have either stopped uploading content or now create different types of content, with much of it still being reminiscent of the bygone era that once grabbed YouTube with an iron fist. I would know because, at least to a certain extent, I was a part of it. I made commentaries in that summer of 2016.
Uh-oh guys, it's the Hiss army. The reptilian army is coming guys. Run! Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your Xbox Live.
And while these videos were of significantly lower quality than the ones I make now, they are still some of my most popular videos, despite also being made at a time in which I had a significantly lower sub count. Back then, it was rare for one of my commentaries not to break 100 views, despite having less than 50 subscribers at the time. My point is that even if you were a little guy starting out on YouTube, it was easy to get views off of this genre of videos. Whereas now, even though I have more subscribers and I've made commentaries since 2016 of comparable quality, the viewership is nowhere near as strong as it once was. All of this I just told you gives you a little bit of context as to what we're discussing today. A bit of a story, if you will. A story that tells the downfall of one of the most prominent genres on YouTube. A story that tells of what happened to commentaries. So, let's start from the beginning. One of my first real exposures to commentaries was with the channel PM Rants, and while he doesn't really upload much anymore, back in 2012, some of his videos went pretty viral, blowing up his channel to where it is now. This kind of sets the stage for commentaries and shows where much of their elements came from. In a way, it was a pioneering feature of the genre that didn't really have a chance yet, at least not in the way that it later would. Now let's fast forward some years. Leafy more or less blew up with his Kids.DDoS series. Pyro started doing reaction commentaries, stuff like that. By and large, this period of time would be where my interest in commentaries really started to spike, and in that spring of 2016, I would upload my Kids on YouTube video, which was largely inspired by Pyro's video titled YouTube Kids. It was during this point in 2016 that we would largely see the rise of YouTube drama-based content. Keemstar was making the rounds, covering daily drama within YouTube. It isn't exactly a coincidence that channels like Keemstar and Scarce jumped by millions of subscribers within that time frame. So this sets us up for a bit of a timeline, a complicated and drama-filled timeline, but a timeline just the same. And this chain of events that would unfold began right around the beginning of 2016. I think this serves as a pretty good starting point for the rise of big drama-based channels on YouTube like Pyro, Leafy, Wild Spartans, etc. So let's start from there. So YouTube channels like Leafy and Pyro exploded basically because of a few reasons that almost perfectly aligned to make the perfect storm that resulted in many of these reaction commentary channels gaining large amounts of growth almost overnight. Number one, we had channels like Drama Alert, and love it or hate it, Keemstar knows how to build an audience.
Everybody type in the chat, Alex is a stupid name.
And if you weren't around back then on YouTube, I'll sum it up for you pretty succinctly. The YouTube ethos had about as much toxicity as Chernobyl, if Chernobyl were suddenly rained on by nukes and then launched into the stratosphere. Point being, lots of jimmies were rustled, and Keemstar knew how to capitalize on that in a way that only few can really replicate. The formula was quite simple. YouTube drama happens, YouTubers start getting involved, people make videos on said drama, people start making rants on YouTubers involved as well, rinse and repeat. It's pretty easy to see why a bunch of channels exploded off of this proverbial goldmine. It was always easy to make videos expressing your opinion on certain topics. But because of Keemstar's existence as a sort of aggregator of YouTube drama, suddenly it became incredibly easy to find issues to talk about. It was a cycle really. YouTuber makes a drama video, more people get involved in said drama, and this causes more drama, and it keeps going. Hell, you had people like Wild Spartans who made 2 videos a day for an entire summer. So we've established that Keemstar was sort of the one who fed the beast of the commentary genre, if you will. But soon, this house of cards would begin to shake, and we would start to see the very subtle, but present signs that this genre that very suddenly exploded would begin to crumble. And thus, we move on to the beginning of the end. If you guys remember this particular time in YouTube, there were a lot, and I mean actually thousands of these rant videos being made on Keemstar, with all this largely starting with Leafy making his video on Keem, and Grade A Under A, Pyro, iDubbbz with his content cop, and so on. It was, as Grade A Under A put it,
Keemstar is a fucking tumor on this website, mate. And his channel is cancer. Drama Alert is fucking cancer, man. Plenty of people have tried to make him go away, right? But he's still here. The cancer won't go away. But don't you worry, mate, because I, Dr. Grade A Under A, am an oncologist. And do you know how to get rid of cancer? With some chemotherapy.
You see, what happened with Keemstar was no accident. It wasn't a coincidence that every one of these YouTubers were all making videos on the same person at the same time. I doubt any of you are genuinely surprised. It would mark a sort of inevitability that simply came with a genre of videos that almost entirely existed solely on the basis of drama. It was bound to happen, and now we really began to see the commentary community that once thrived under channels like Ray and Leafy start to implode. But why? Well, for a genre that basically survives on the happenings of other YouTubers, creating more drama as a means of generating views seems more likely and also less competition. You see, Leafy and Grade weren't the only ones making videos off topics that Keem put on Drama Alert. Other drama-based commentary channels began to crop up with mixed levels of success. Leafy and Grade were already well-established YouTubers, but more competition and an oversaturation of the genre would just lead to commentaries themselves slowly dying out, as the genre would just be flooded with people copying off of one another, which we were already seeing to a certain extent. Tanking Keem's viewership and his reputation, although only for a brief time, did curb this to some extent. At this point, Leafy, Grade, Pyro, and the myriad of other commentary channels were the pantheon of commentary gods, who would reign as the undisputed kings of a vast genre for a long time. Now, is this theory here a bit of a stretch? Slightly, but I certainly wouldn't put it past Leafy and Grade to do this, especially knowing what we know now after the whole Hey Watch Your Mouth video titled The Real Leafy is Here. Now this actually brings us into the next big step in the timeline, as I feel like this video here was the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back. The video that truly exposed Leafy, and in turn public opinion against him, started with the now deleted video from Nick Cash, aka Hey Watch Your Mouth, titled The Real Leafy is Here. So Nick's video, The Real Leafy is Here, really set the stage for the decline in public opinion on these channels, particularly in regards to, no surprise, Leafy. Now, I say that this video set the stage for it all, but really it was more of a match in the proverbial tinderbox that was this building up of toxicity in the commentary genre. As I mentioned before, this was bound to happen in one way or another. After this, the pyramid flipped, the tables turned. However you want to say it, the hierarchy began to break down, and we saw this with not only Nick's video, but iDubbbz's Content Cop, and countless, and I really do mean countless videos being made by various commentary channels, and statements regarding Leafy's actions made by a myriad of other big YouTubers, including Herotic and Elvis the Alien, the latter of which making his own video on Leafy. Not to mention clips from an episode of Keem's podcast, Baited, where he goes toe-to-toe with Leafy on multiple occasions in this episode. And honestly, much of it is pretty damning. With the podcast episode combining with iDubbbz's Content Cop, I think this whole narrative of Leafy being a snake really became cemented in. And with shade being thrown at guys like Pyro and Grade as well, the whole genre basically died. Many of the top commentary channels lost much of their credibility, and the supply feed of content largely came to a standstill. And can you really blame them? Why would anyone want to make the same sort of content that was basically responsible for ending their careers on YouTube, or at the very least, severely damaging it? At that point, when the supply of content and the support of that content from fans had ended, commentaries, as they were once known for those couple of years, had basically ceased to exist. So in the aftermath of all this, well, like I said, many channels either completely had their careers annihilated or just turned away from those kinds of commentaries altogether. Ironically enough, out of all this drama, the only two drama channels who really thrived after this whole ordeal was Keemstar and Pyro. While Pyro doesn't really make these big commentary exposed pieces like he used to, he still does them occasionally, and his content still largely has the same feel. Keemstar not only still makes videos for Drama Alert, he largely regained the reputation he had before Pyro and iDubbbz made their respective videos on him. He's gained more subscribers than ever, and his like to dislike ratio greatly improved after Leafy was exposed and the drama surrounding Keemstar was proven to be over-exaggerated and largely untrue. You also see the occasional video from guys like Elvis the Alien, so that's something. Of course, there's always more to it, but in the grand scheme of things, this was the chain reaction that created the biggest explosion, if you will. So the question arises, would we see drama-based commentaries of old still around if Nick never made his video? Well, the short answer is no. The long answer is, if it wasn't Nick, it would have been someone else. The saying, there's always a bigger fish, reigns true here, but the proverbial fish being, well, YouTube drama. It would have gotten to the point that it wasn't sustainable, and with YouTube getting harsher and harsher with their terms of service, I highly doubt many of those channels would even be able to run for a decent amount of time before being terminated, or forced to kind of make their content more YouTube friendly, if you will. That being said, I still miss this sort of era in a way. In fact, I made this video as a bit of a swan song to the bygone era that led to me finding my way in regards to what I wanted to do on YouTube, which was commentaries. It's a time I think most of us miss, but as the saying goes, all good things have to come to an end. So anyway guys, that'll be it for this video. It took a lot of writing and editing, so I really hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, drop a like down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and keeps you up to date with all my videos. Also, the second channel is hopefully up. If it's not already up, I plan to have it up soon. And with all that being said, I will catch you all in the next video, and thank you so much for watching. Peace.